I want to talk today about something that I have been thinking about, honestly, for months. A few months ago at South by Southwest, I had a conversation with a woman who basically told me at 40 years old, she's too old to do a high rocks. Yeah, no, I'm just going to let that sit for a second. What are you even talking about, my girl? So I was really unsettled by this conversation because of her limited perspective on what people at any age could still do. And this came on the heels of my conversation with Mark Cuban, who, in my estimation, is aging backwards and has the most amazing perspective that the biggest mistake you can make as you age is getting caught up in what you can do because of the number. And I would offer, let's show what we can do despite the number. It is time to rattle the age cage. I am in my 40s and thriving. And today we are going to talk about the mindset shifts that are going to get you to that place of agency, capability, and proactive storytelling in every decade of life. We need fewer 30 under 30 lists and more 70 over 70 lists. I want to hear about the 78-year-old baddie who's like, you know what? I'm going to learn Italian and I'm going to do 500 push-ups this year. Yes, bitch, that's what I'm talking about. I want us to understand that there are people who started later than we thought they, quote unquote, should. And here are some examples. This is proof. Vera Wang founded her company at 40. Julia Child was 37 when she first went to culinary school and 49 when she published her first cookbook. You know how many cook-au-vents that woman has created in life? I mean, RIP to the chickens, but you know what I'm saying? Good for her. My friend Rich Roll became an ultra endurance athlete at 39 and now has one of the most powerful podcasts in podcasting history. It's incredible. I feel so passionately about this because society defines aging as loss, especially for women. And I know that I've gained clarity, strength, perspective, wisdom, swagger, the list goes on. And I'm even more excited about my future decades because I feel vibrant. And when I don't know something, I ask questions. But I think one of my greatest superpowers is curiosity, is asking, how good can it get? And I want you to ask yourself that same question. How good can it get? Because I think that it can always get better. I really know that it's a lot harder if you're maybe coming and listening and watching from a small town, or you've got a lot of neighbors and Joneses, so to speak, who have expectations on you. So I think it's okay. I think it's possible for us to have vulnerable conversations about the challenges of different stages of life. Absolutely. Be real about that. But we can also speak life into every stage. And if you don't think that your body is listening to the stuff that you are talking about yourself, you're wrong. And I've witnessed it. I've seen my mom, who grew even more vibrant with age. She did not become an athlete or touch a weight until her 60s. And she's still moving, even with MS. And she has delayed MS medication for decades because of how she fuels and how she moves her body. And she didn't start until her late 50s, early 60s. So let's talk about things that I've done late. I wouldn't go back for nothing in the world, baby. But when I was in my 30s, I felt like I was behind. I was starting a brand new career. So I had left my law career, which really I created in my 20s, both schooling and practice. I entered my 30s and I felt like I was starting from scratch. I felt behind. I'm seeing my friends get married, buy houses, buy apartments in New York City, go on these extravagant, amass what I considered from an outside looking in. You never know somebody's, bank account, but it looked like they were amassing this wealth and this success. And I felt like I was starting from zero. Professionally, I was single in New York City, which if you know, baby, that's real. And I didn't do apps. This is pre-apps. Okay, yeah, this is the Stone Age. You had to go and talk to somebody at a bar. It was fucking horrible. So I was lonely. I felt unsuccessful. And I focused on what lifted me up. I decided I'm just going to become the person I want to date. So I spent the first half of my 30s becoming that person. And the perspective that I had when I met my husband was, oh, this was the exact right time. Because now I have the healing and the therapy and the wisdom to fully go into something and commit. And we committed. We committed real fast. We got engaged in 3 days, and, that was 10 years ago this May. And the things that I thought that story of feeling late was going to be zipped up once I had found some success at Peloton, once I met my husband. But I think it really reared its head when we were going through our fertility journey. I was going through an embryo freezing journey, and I felt like, oh my gosh, like, did I miss it? Like, is this sliding doors moment where if I didn't have kids at 28, like, that's it? And so I was kind of prematurely mourning something that never would have been mine in the first place. I was like mourning somebody else's trajectory and story. And I had to like really process that and think like, this is not my bag to hold. Like, that's society telling me that at 28, I needed to do X, and 32, I needed to do X, and by 40, I needed to do Y. And so I had to reframe that for myself. I had to look at what I could control. I had to edit who I was going to listen to, because especially when you're going through these emotionally vulnerable circumstances, you're just trying to tether yourself to anything that feels like information, and that information feels like control. And sometimes you're grabbing on to the story that is actually making you feel small and is actually giving you less control and power, but you're thinking that information is giving it to you. So I had a lot of unpacking to do during that season. And so we went through the embryo freezing journey, and then my husband and I had Athena, and then we had Atlas. So I'm sharing the story. If you're going through any of that, if you're in that life stage and that specific life experience, like, raise up. But also, I think it's important for us to see these examples of the Veras, of the Riches, of the Julia Childs, and there are countless more of people who recreated themselves and said, I'm rejecting the thing that you think I'm about to inherit, and I'm going to start my own thing. All right, so let's bring it back to you, your story, your life circumstance. What story are you telling yourself about your age? Maybe you have a birthday coming up. Maybe you're at an inflection point in life. What story are you telling? And just meet yourself where you are. Wherever that story is, whatever feeling is evoked out of that storytelling, let's be honest about it. Maybe you write it down. Who gave you that story? And are you ready to drop it if it's coming from a less than positive place? Or are you ready to expand upon it? If you're like, yeah, girl, I'm X age and I'm feeling like the best is yet to come. Let's get specific. What do you want to call in? What actions are you taking to make sure that you are going to be as expansive as possible and continue to live that story? What if the best is yet to come? All right, y'all, let's get to today's questions. We have a specific theme for the questions today. They are related to T1D. I live with type 1 diabetes. I have for over 10 years, probably more than that. And I was diagnosed as an adult, just for a little bit of context. And of course, nothing I say is medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making any medical decisions. Let's get to today's questions.
Hey, Robin. My name is Charlotte. I am a nurse practitioner in oncology, and I'm board certified in lifestyle medicine. And a lot of my patients have diabetes, including type 1. So I'd love your perspective. What are your best strategies for helping someone with diabetes safely start or return to movement without burning out or destabilizing blood sugar? And how can I encourage them to work through the fear that they have getting started with that sort of thing? Thanks so much.
Yeah, totally valid questions. Thank you for your question. So I have to anchor this or contextualize this first with like my perspective. So I was diagnosed as an adult already training for marathons and ultra marathons. And so the risk for me was not living the life I already knew I wanted to live. The risk for me was losing such a central part of not only my identity, but my profession as an athlete. So I was like, I'm going to figure this the hell out. And I would say number one, the technology, like a CGM, I think looping, I think the automated systems. Once you figure out the numbers for that or the process, for that individual, It is a game changer. I truly treated my movement, my numbers, the data, like I was a one woman science experiment. And there were plenty of runs that I was just like, well, I guess it's not happening today. Like there's just no amount of carbs that are gonna get me through this. And I still have to adapt, not as frequently, because I kind of have been able to ride a pretty steady wave, but it does take trial and error. So I would say, number one, it's arming them with as much of the tech, which, hopefully insurances are approving and they have access to. And then number two, knowing that it's going to take trial and error. There's no amount of advice, even as a medical practitioner, that you can give before somebody starts to intuitively understand this is kind of the route that works for me. And then I would say number three, it is completely possible. You have to want it badly enough. Like, I think that we have to shift out of this identity of I'm a type 1 diabetic and more into I'm an athlete and insulin comes with me. And because I approached all of my medical care like that, like everything, it was a non-negotiable. It was like I was sitting in a doctor's office being like, got it, cool. I've got a pod, I've got a CGM, and I'm an athlete, and this is what we're doing with it. I think that when you're entering it from a fear-based place of like, I'm a type 1 diabetic, hoping to please maybe do this, it's like, it's just a different identity shift. And I don't say that lightly. I know that there are a lot of medical decisions underpinning that. But you just have to like stand in the power and be like, we're going to figure this out. And I'm not stopping until I do. All right, let's get to the next question.
Hey, Robin, it's Hannah, a fellow type 1 diabetic. I wanted to ask you your pre-workout routine that is able to give you enough energy while also preventing low blood sugars. And of course, thank you for being such an inspiration to all of us out here living with autoimmune diseases.
Yes, Diabetes Unite. I love it. So I do most of my cardio in the mornings. So you tend to be a little bit more insulin resistant in the mornings. Dawn phenomenon is a thing that many of us have experienced. So instead of dosing like a bolus for a dawn phenomenon when my blood sugar is rising in the mornings, I'm usually going to be pairing that with moving my body. So I try to notice my body's natural rhythms by looking at my CGM numbers. And over time, I've been able to plan my workouts, generally speaking, around when it's going to be that rise. And oftentimes I won't even need to, like, I've kind of figured out a rhythm where I'm going to be doing, for example, a 60-minute run around the time that I would be having dawn phenomenon. So I'm pretty flat by the end. And then I'll probably bolus a little bit for like oatmeal or a smoothie that I'd be having afterwards. Or if I'm dropping, it's around the time that I would be having breakfast. So I'm trying to time both my workouts and my meals around, as best as obviously TBND is totally unpredictable, but around to the extent that I can predict when I'm going to be having lows. But I highly recommend trying to plan workouts, the cardio-specific workouts in the morning when you're naturally going to be a little bit more insulin resistant, and then always have at the ready like a protein smoothie or something that it's going to have carbs and protein. That way, when you're fueling something that is going to prop up your muscles as well as, of course, your low blood sugar needs. Let's talk about the edit today. One of my favorite things to watch. Romantic comedies. I love a rom-com moment. I am everything from a rom-com girl to a Hallmark movie girl. I love it all. If you don't schedule rest, you won't take it. So this is where I am going to provide some context for your rom-com viewing that is actually practical. So rom-coms are part of my rest toolkit. I will actually plan rom-coms or movies that I want to watch, not necessarily for the plot, but for the feeling. You know that feeling, like that warm hug feeling that rom-coms provide? For me, that like helps my nervous system. It's almost like a whisper to my nervous system, being like, J-Lo's here. It's okay. Like Kate Hudson's here. It's okay. And that really is sometimes the reset that I need for my rest days. And I'm not saying I only watch rom-coms on my rest days, but I would say that's probably when I have the time to do it. Let's go through some of them. Love and basketball. I love that ambition and love can coexist. Love and basketball, you know my girlies, and like that is just there are so many scenes from that movie that just feel like nostalgia. The Holiday. So this is one of my favorite holiday movies. It's comfort, it's a reset, it's Jude Law, it's Cameron Diaz, it's Jack Black. Like, it's everything. And it also kind of scratches that itch of both wanting a fabulous house in LA and like a cottage in the British countryside. Like, who doesn't want that? Get you a man who can do both. And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, of course. Like, what? That yellow dress, forever and ever and ever, is like both fashion icon and also like not super relationship advice. Like, I think Andy was probably like toxic as hell, but it's still a warm hug in movie form. And then Jennifer Lopez, rom-coms can do no wrong. Literally all of them. I would even watch Geely. Like, don't at me. I want every single one of them. I think a dream day for me would be a slay of a workout in the morning. Okay, if it's a rest day, maybe it's not a workout, but like this is my dream day, so I can do what I want. It would be a sick, like 75-minute, like hybrid session where I'm lifting and running and feeling like a total baddie into brunch with my family. We're going to have a little tofu scramble, little like matcha moment. And then my husband takes my kids away. And I don't see them till bedtime. And I have the whole day just like me and J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey. And like maybe we'll even throw in some 80s movies. You know what I mean? Like, let's go crazy because we have like 6 hours. And that would be a perfect Sunday. Rest is not passive, it's a practice. Overall, this should feel like an extension of performance and recovery, not just entertainment, in my opinion. And I think that we do get to stages of life where we feel like we have to apologize for, quote, guilty pleasures. Tune in to what makes you happy. I'm talking about more joy. Like, be cringe. Be cringe. If you're a Hallmark movie girly, say it with your whole chest. Thank you so much for tuning into today's Project Swagger. I'll see you next week.